Hey, it's Mike Nelson from Operation Agent Thrive, wanting to bring you another video today. This is specific to real estate agents, and the topic that we're going to address today is, so you think you can make $500K in real estate? So coming from a corporate background, one thing I've always noticed is real estate agents in this particular industry are not hitting their financial objectives or their goals. And I have a key component as to why we think that's not happening, and I'm going to be happy to share that with you today. However, before we begin, I'm going to ask that you click the subscribe button below, click the bell so you can be notified of new future content when we release it, and it's going to be a lot of various topics. So as I mentioned, why aren't real estate agents able to obtain their financial goals? A lot of times it's this time of year, it's the end of the year, we're all excited about setting up our new goals for next year, and we look back at what we did in the current year and many of us didn't hit our financial goals. Could be because you set really big stretch goals. I'm all about big thinking. However, most of the time we just flat out didn't hit our goals. And are you finding that acceptable or unacceptable? That's a question you have to ask yourself. One thing that I've noticed is we don't know what it takes to get to this magical number. Most new agents that I interview, they don't know what they don't know, and they come in and they're like, I want to make $100,000. Cool, is that gross, is that net? We gotta kind of fix that and figure out what they want there. And I wanted to kind of talk about that today. I find that it's very easy to say I want to make $1 million in real estate. I also want to lose 100 pounds, but I gotta have an executable plan to make that happen. So we're gonna talk about how to do that in business today. And the first thing that we're gonna start with is, do you know how many contacts that you're gonna need to make to get to how many closings? Do you know how many closings that you need to get based on your average GCI price point? Do you know how many leads you need? How many appointments you need? If you're gonna run a business, you have got to know your numbers. You can't just show up every day and wander around aimlessly calling people hoping that you're gonna hit your numbers. You gotta have a plan. We did a video series earlier, and you can check the link above, on exactly how to set your goals. And now that we've set our goals, we're gonna go ahead and execute on like exactly the weekly and daily big picture items that we need to accomplish to make sure that our goals are hit. So the first thing that we've gotta find out is exactly how many deals you need to close to hit your GCI. You gotta know what your average commission is per deal. I'm gonna use 10,000 like most mentors or instructors do because it's easier math. If I wanna make $100,000 gross, not net, but gross, $100,000, I gotta figure out what's my average commission. I'm gonna take my average commission of $10,000 into $100,000, and that's gonna leave me with 10 deals. Easy, that's simple math. It gets a bit more tricky and complicated here. Step 2, now that we know how many closings we need is 10, is how many leads do we need to have in order to be able to get to 10 closings? Historically, there's been a lot of research around this. And again, it's gonna matter if you're an experienced agent or a newer agent. A newer agent's gonna have less conversion than an experienced agent. However, I've always been a coach that factors on the conservative numbers because nobody complains if they overachieve their goals, yet everybody complains when they underachieve their goals. So what we need is 10 leads to get to 1 closing. That means 9 people aren't gonna even make it to the closing table. Pretty conservative, huh? That's why when it's a lead, it doesn't need to be a qualified lead, it doesn't need to be anything. It truly just needs to be 10 people who raise their hand in the goal year. If they say they wanna buy in 2052, that's not in your goal year, so that's not gonna count. Has to be for the goal year. Third thing that we've got to do is know exactly how many contacts that we need to be able to get to those leads. So you saw here earlier, it's 10 leads to 1 closing. It's 12 contacts to a lead. If I talk to 12 people, in theory, the math suggests and the history of all the analysis that's happened is one of those 12 will typically say, I wanna buy and sell at some point in time in the future. Ideally, it'll be in your current goal year. So how do you take that math? You gotta say it's 10 leads and 12 contacts. So I'm gonna take 12 times 10. That means I've gotta talk to 120 people to be able to get to 1 closing. What if I want 10 closings, which is the number that we described earlier to get to 100,000? I've got to take that 120 times 10. I gotta talk to 1,200 people. 1,200. You see why people have this vision of wanting to make 100,000, yet they don't know what it takes to get to 100,000. You gotta talk to 1,200 people. Now, knowing we have to talk to 1,200 people, fourth step is basically determine how many weeks you're going to work in 2022 or your goal year. Don't say 52, 50, whatever. That's not going to be realistic. You're not going to do that. You're not working every single week. Look at a calendar and figure out holiday weeks you're going to take off, vacations you're going to take off, and then pad in a couple of weeks for being off, for kids being sick, you being sick, whatever it may be, unforeseen circumstances. I'm going to say 46 is a conservative number. So if I take that 46 and I divide that into 1,200 contacts, I think it comes out to like 26 contacts a week. Divide that by 5 days, working 5 days a week full time, you've got to make 6 contacts a day. So you see how this big picture and how this formula is really working out to really dial you into what your daily activities have to be. If you do that and execute 6 contacts a day, ain't no doubt in my mind that you'll make $100,000. Cool, you want to do that times, to get to 500,000, multiply all that by 5. 5 times 1,200 contacts is, I think, 7,000, 6,000. So that's 6,000 people. Divide that by 46 weeks. Again, public school math, I don't know what that is, but let's say it's 26 times 5. You'd have to make 130, 140 contacts a week. Divided by 5, you'd have to make, 30 contacts a day, right? I mean, it's there, right? The math is there. Whether you want to swallow that pill and do it is up to you. Yet that's the math behind what you have to do to be successful and hit the metrics that you need. So this lesson was what I call future pacing. Do you know what you need to do to be able to get to the numbers you need to get to? We'll talk about true future pacing in a future video, how to project your numbers and your data as you're going throughout the year. If you found this video interesting, hey, put some comments down below. Tell me there's a different way to do it. I know some agents actually just focus on appointments only and they make it very simple, like I just have to set an appointment a day. Yet a lot of times people can't get the appointment or aren't getting to the appointment. And then the question is, how many people are you contacting to get to the appointment? That math will help you get there. Hey, if you found this video helpful and you actually apply this next year into your business goals, give me a thumbs up on the video, subscribe to it, click the notification bell because we're going to come out with a lot more content over the next year. Thanks.